Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Casale's Corner. Let's start off by congratulating the new 2029 President, Vice President, Treasurer, and Public Relations. At Public Relations, congratulations to Jake Risley, congratulations to Nash Wing at Treasurer, and congratulations to our Vice President, Andrew Valkovic, and major congrats to our President, Wyatt Cox. Now that that's out of the way, let's get down to some business, shall we? Last week, if you looked at our podcast, I predicted that Justin Jefferson would score around 20 fantasy points, and let's see how that prediction went, shall we? Here's the review. Jefferson, a big name here, coming into this matchup. He has Wentz throwing him the ball. McCarthy's still out and injured. I think Jefferson will have a better day than he did last week, probably averaging around 20 points because of the addition of Jordan Addison. Well, as you can see, I was right about that, but I was wrong about the Vikings winning the game. The Steelers would win that one. But in our international game this morning, it was the Vikings again, and they would barely squeak by the Browns. Now, if you heard me talk about this game this week, I did say that the Browns would be competitive in this game for one reason. The Vikings would have been overseas for now 2 weeks in a row, haven't even been home. So I thought that it would be competitive, and it was. The Vikings would go ahead and score a late fourth quarter touchdown with Jordan Addison to win the game. Jefferson again having around 20 fantasy points. So now let's get into the day of the NFL. We only got couple big games going right now. The Chargers-Washington game, the Chargers look like a whole different team than when they faced the Giants last week. They look ready to go, and I think they're going to pull out a win in that one. Then you have the Bucs-Seahawks game, which is competitive right now, but the Seahawks still having 0 points in the second quarter. So we'll see how that goes. Both teams wearing their throwback jerseys. I like a good throwback, yes. But I don't know if you call it a shocker, but the big game of today, the Broncos and Eagles. The Broncos would beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And listen, two things to say about this game. I'll start with the problem with the Eagles first. Their offense sucks. And it's not A.J. Brown's fault. It's not Saquon Barkley's fault. It's not Jalen Hurts' fault. It's Kevin Petula. He is an awful offensive coordinator. Listen, the criticism against him was that the schemes are not good. Barkley can't get anything going. People are blaming it on the O-line. This is basically the same line as last year, just with Tyler Steen in. So it's the concept of the blocking scheme. It's not the players. That's why Barkley can't get going. He's actually had some decent fantasy days, surprisingly. He's caught a couple touchdown passes. And that's the reason A.J. Brown can't get going. All he's doing is running slants. Now, he does run the slant route very well, but you have to have him run other routes to get that slant prepared to go. So, the Eagles have a huge problem on offense. Huge problem. Hurts played well today. He took a couple of sacks that I felt like you got to get the ball out of there, especially against that Bronco defense, but they just really struggle to stay on offense. Fantasy sleeper, I think you got to put Dallas Goedert in your lineup. This is like his third game in a row for touchdown, so I put him in, and Devontae Smith had a monster game. First game all season, over 100 receiving yards. So, now let's get to the second reason. Referees cannot decide games. That unnecessary roughness call on Zach Bond completely ruined the game. I'm not saying, the Eagles shouldn't have been in that position. I get that. But they were, and that's what the refs call. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here it is.
It doesn't look like it, but I think they want to.
Going to Harvey out of the backfield. He is brought down, holding on.
As you saw on that play, Quinyon Mitchell has the guy, but he's still going forward for yards. Bond doesn't come flying. He comes in just to stop him, just to get him down in case the guy breaks off again. And that call is it's so bad. It's completely flipping that drive. The Eagles defense gets a stop there. Hurts has way more time. And if you look at that last drive too, they were down the field. They were at the 30. So you take away that field goal they get, right? And the Eagles are in right position to win the game. Just an awful, awful call. I have no more words to say about it. Last little bit of NFL news. The Ravens. Holy. The Ravens are god-awful, and people can say it's without Lamar. Okay, sure, but they were awful before that. Their defense isn't looking anything dominant like we thought it would be. I mean, I know they had injuries, but again, before that, very disappointing from the Ravens. Very disappointed. All right, now let's move on to some wrestling. Okay, so yesterday there was a wrestling event at Ryan Fallis's house. We thought we were gonna get part 3 of the grudge match between Anthony Caputo and Drew Hale. Now here's a picture of Drew preparing for the fight here, and we thought Drew the Dominator was gonna go out and smash Caputo, and that could have been the case, but Caputo didn't show up. He would come to the event later, but Drew the Dominator had to go to a homecoming dance, which had a very fun time at, by the way. And Caputo came right as he was about to leave. Didn't have any time for the matchup. So all the hype around that, this could have been a blockbuster podcast if that had happened. It didn't. But something didn't happen. A new rivalry unfolded at that event between Anthony Caputo and the Bulldog Ryan Fallis. Now, the Bulldog has taken his bumps before on this show, but we love him. And this rivalry, it could be a good one. Ryan used his strength against Caputo. Now, Caputo would use his speed against Ryan. It was a very, very tight matchup. At one point, Ryan even had the whole bounce house tilting when he was on top of Caputo and they were on the ground. Very thrilling matchup. This match would end in a no contest when Steven Swartout arrived at the event and reminded everybody who's the champion, who's boss. Steven would come in and lay out both Ryan Fallis and Anthony Caputo. Steven would also have a very impressive showing against Jackson Kelso, and he would beat a kid 2 years older than him. Overall, a great performance by Steven. Very excited to see where this Anthony Caputo-Ryan Fallis feud goes to. Mick Kramer, who was not at the event, has an ankle injury. Hopefully he's back soon so we can get that Steven Mick match coming in here. But speaking of injuries, the Grizz has suffered a torn LCL in his knee. That's why he was not at that event either. Hoping the Grizz comes back soon, but massive injury for the Grizz. Hoping that he's okay. But now let's talk about major thing that happened on the show last week. Our sponsor, Coca-Cola, has backed out of the deal supporting Bryan Adams in the lawsuit over the summer of '89. Now, this also sparked a debate on X whether the song is called The Summer of '89 or The Summer of '69, which I hadn't heard a difference, but apparently people are saying it's the summer of '69 and this shouldn't even be a lawsuit. So, the bottom line is, we don't have an ad placement in this podcast today. We're trying to find somebody else, but Coca-Cola has officially backed out supporting Bryan Adams in this cause. Bryan Adams, who hasn't responded to the Grizzlies' claims, but this is certainly becoming bigger than I think anybody ever thought it would be. Again, a major uproar between people on X. Is it the summer of '89? Is it the summer of '69? I personally believe it's the summer of '89. But people are saying that if you look at the other lyrics of the song too, it matches up with summer of '69. that could be the case, and this could be an easy lawsuit for Bryan Adams to get out of. But we'll never know if he doesn't respond. The Grizz, though, said he's coming out with a new music album. He's going to add to the Animal Noises album with the Chameleon noise. Very interesting development there. We're very excited to see it, Grizz. Now let's go farther into wrestling. We got a little off track there with the whole lawsuit thing. John Cena is on pace to face AJ Styles at Crown Jewel Perth. His last match has been selected to be at Saturday night's main event this December. It's gonna be a heavy moment there. But who will Cena fight for his last match? There's rumors going around that Edge could come out. I don't see that happening. But people are just trying to figure out, who would be a great last match. These are rumors of Kurt Angle. I again don't really see that. I think it could be a younger star like Carmelo Hayes for him to, uprise. But yeah, pretty exciting stuff there. And then Seth Rollins is gonna fight Cody Rhodes also at Crown Jewel Perth, title versus title. So that'll be good for the trophy. And will Brock Lesnar come out in that match? Very interesting. We haven't seen him since he dominated John Cena at WrestlePalooza. So that's it for wrestling news and for football news today. But I have some news of my own. Next week on this here podcast, there's going to be a new segment called Therapy Time with our good friend Rocco. He will be on the show for the first time ever in his new segment, and man, you better be ready for this. He's going to give self-help to a client, and it's going to be live on the podcast. So we're going to have a caller call in here, and Rocco's going to give him his 2 cents about his problems. Rocco has been dubbed a great therapy pet. Obviously, he's, as everybody knows, the Grizz's therapy support pet. So he's going to be on here because the Grizz, who will not be able to come on because of his involvement in the lawsuit against Bryan Adams, he's all busy doing that. Obviously, the injury, too, he's a little banged up. So hopefully he gets better. But that's going to be next week. We're going to go over football and wrestling again. Then the new segment, Therapy Time with Rocco. So, that's going to be it for Casale's Corner today. And I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. And remember to tune in next week. For the first time ever, there'll be a guest. Hopefully that doesn't go bad.